5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Woohoo! 2015, here we come! Yes! Another year in the bag. Ready to dominate 2015. And we're ready to dominate reading comprehension and the GMAT. Hello, my name is Kevin. Welcome to GMAT Tuesdays. Today we're filming a video that's a follow-up to a previous video that I did actually about a year ago out in the woods, which was how to improve in reading comprehension. And actually, if you want to go see that video, you can go click on this link here. And so in that video, I talk about how to improve as a reader in general and how that will help you on reading comprehension, critical reasoning, and even on the math questions as well. I talked about active reading in that video and also reading a lot of news sources. To recap some of those ideas, the three main things you really need to do when you're reading are to think about what's the main idea, what's the structure and flow of the passage, and then what's the author's tone and purpose. These ideas and questions should just be flowing through your mind constantly as you're reading. And I talk about how at first that's something that you have to be conscious about, and you have to really focus on doing those things and actually take notes. And then the more you practice, the more you won't have to think about it, and it'll just be something you naturally do. And then a student had a great question. He's like, well, what does this look like? How can I know if I'm reading actively? What should I do? And so this video is a follow-up to that question. And so I can't really show you active reading in the wild because that would just take too long and no one wants to sit here and watch me read an article. So what I recommend is to go and read the New York Times article, Welcome Back, Cuba. There will be a link down below in the text or in the link box below the video. So pause the video now and go read that article thinking about these three things. Ready, set, go. I'm serious. Go. Go read the article. This isn't going to help unless you read the article. Okay. Are you back? Okay. So, this is an example of how you might take notes and read actively when you first start out. Some people worry that this method requires too much time because you're taking all these notes. And that's true at the beginning. You're writing down more than you probably should. You're not clear on sort of what notes you should take, so you take down everything. You don't really have a good system of like symbols or like abbreviations. And so that's something you're also practicing is how to actually take notes while you're actively reading. And I'll tell you this, if you do this a ton, if you spend 3 months doing this every day, you'll get to a point where you won't even need to take notes. And so in the beginning, take the time, don't worry about how fast you're going, write down the things you think are important, and then as you progress and improve, you'll write down less and less. And so here in this article, it's an opinion piece. Recently, President Barack Obama lifted the embargo on Cuba, and so this article is a response to that. And so in the very beginning of this article, we get a clear question which sort of signals what the main idea is. And I'm not so concerned about what it is at the very beginning, but I've identified they're talking about American foreign policy, failed, and embargo. And Cuba's in the title, so that's kind of what the main idea is about. And that can be my working model of the main idea. And as I move through the article, I'll change it and revise it and make more detail either on my mind or on paper, so that by the end I have a very clear idea of what the main idea is. But at the beginning, I'm just looking for key words that kind of like group together to help me understand what the article is about. Then the structure and flow, what you can see here is, this article has lots of paragraphs. You could number all of these things, but really, you start at the beginning, that's the beginning of the article. You get to the end, that's the end of the article. And the point here is to know what is happening, where are you going, and what is the flow. And so at the very beginning, we get sort of the intro of the main idea. Obama is mentioned. Then there's mention of disagreement with what Obama has done. Then we hear that the embargo didn't work. Then there's an example of the Soviet Union. Then they talk about bizarre ideas for overthrowing Cuba. Then there's more disagreement. Then there's China that there's talked about. And then finally at the very end we have like tourists bring change and we should send fat tourists into Cuba. And so that's that's what happens in this article, and that's kind of what you're doing when you first take notes. You're going to write it all out, but you want to kind of keep this mental map in your mind, and that's what you're shooting for. So then test day, you don't need to write down all this stuff. You can just have it there. And really, if I were to go back and kind of summarize everything, once I get to the end, I know now that really the main idea is that tourists, not military, bring change and not an embargo. And then the structure is kind of oscillating between like what critics say and then these personal experiences or anecdotes that the author has. And it goes back and forth. Finally, the last thing that I'm looking for, as you can see here, is the author's tone and the author's purpose. So tone is pretty easy to see in sort of the words and phrases that the author uses. This is an opinion piece, so it's actually pretty easy to see what the author thinks. The author likes the new policy. At the very end of the passage, he says bravo to the policy. It's like very clear. He's not hiding his opinion. And he's fairly scathing of the critics. You can see that in some of the adjectives he uses to describe the critics. Also, how he talks about different policies in the past. He uses the word bizarre. It's not a very kind adjective to use. And then finally, the purpose, he's arguing a point. He's trying to convince us of some idea. And remember, there's only really 4 things that authors do when they write. It's describe, inform, argue, or entertain. Guaranteed, the GMAT's not going to have anything that's that entertaining, so it's going to be some combination of these 3. And remember that passages mix and match these purposes, but usually there's one main purpose that you can identify that the author has. Okay, so that's what active reading, or at least the result of active reading, can look like. If you have any questions about this article, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to respond to them. If you like this video, this is something new that we're trying. If you'd like me to go through other articles or new articles that are coming out, let me know that as well. I'd be happy to record more of these. And yeah, if you have any requests, let us know, because we're happy to record videos that are going to help you guys. All right, that is it for today. Be excellent to the universe in 2015.